but it's another mild day for many of us.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date. £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Nana Akua, weekends from 3 p.m.
And I'm going to start with you. Talk to me about autism and why you got involved with this, because some people don't know the story as to why you set up Anna Kennedy Online.
Well, I have 2 sons. They're now 32 and 35, and I'm proud to say that my eldest son, Patrick, is in Stockholm at the moment on his own, so that's like a big step for him to go on holiday, and he's loving it. So they both were diagnosed fairly young, and the support at the time was just non-existent. Yeah. So we had to set up our own school, and then we set up a vocational college for my youngest son, Angelo.
Now, how do you know that they're autistic? Is there a blood test? Is it something where you have a list of symptoms? Or because some people say, oh, I've got ADHD and this and that, and I think sometimes people conflate it with autism. Are there parallels with the two, or are they totally separate? Because it's confusing.
They're very different from each other, both Patrick and Angelo. So Angelo was diagnosed fairly early at 2.5, 3. He passed all the milestones, and then he just lost everything. His speech, eye contact, didn't want to be touched, didn't even want me to hug him at the time, running from one end of the room to the other, squealing, and it was just like, what is going on? And as a mum, you're thinking, what have I done wrong? Have I done something wrong?
Oh, no.
Patrick was diagnosed fairly early again, but he was premature, and I thought the difficulties that he was having because he was 11 weeks premature, I thought, is it because he had a bit of a difficult start, in and out of hospital. And then he was diagnosed at 4, and then we found out when he was 7, when he was struggling at school. He was finding school difficult, being bullied. So it's an autism spectrum condition, and if you feel that there might be, something that I'm not quite sure, I can't get a handle on it, please go and see your GP and just ask for your child to be assessed. But the difficulty at the minute is the waiting list is so long to get a diagnosis.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Wednesday, the 10th of December. I'm Nana Akua.
And I'm Charlie Peters.
Where they failed on our borders, we're taking control of our borders, and I'm proud that we're doing so.
But the Prime Minister claims that Labour are taking back control of our borders on the day it's been revealed that the Home Office admits it doesn't know how many illegal immigrants have absconded in this country at a huge cost to you, the taxpayer.
And the budget, well, that has been a hammer blow to the Great British boozer. So we're checking in at pubs across the country this morning with some pub and restaurant owners banning Labour MPs over business rates.
Yes, I'm here at the beautiful Prince of Wales pub on Drury Lane in central London, where the Beer and Pubs Association are having an emergency meeting to talk about the terrible impact that the budget is having on British pubs. Find out more with me very soon.
Well, it comes as Labour MPs are being told by furious pub owners to get out my pub, as a new survey found less than 1 in 10 are forecast to make a profit next year.
Australia has banned all under-16s from all major social media platforms. Millions of young users are losing access to sites such as X, Facebook and YouTube, with tech giants facing huge fines if they don't comply.
And the French presidential frontrunner Jordan Bardella is moving to forge an alliance with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to restore Europe's borders. The pair held talks in London yesterday. We'll be joined by a French journalist later on.
And breaking news in the last hour, Confessions of a Shopaholic author Sophie Kinsella has sadly died at age 55 after a battle with brain cancer. We'll be getting reaction to that very news throughout the programme.
Great to be back with you.
Yeah, nice to be back with you too, Charlie. I've got to say, no, very sad news there. I just got to mention Sophie Kinsella because I read her books, The Confessions of a Shopaholic, and they were some of my favourite books ever. So such tragic news, so young.
Really
as well.
tragic news.
Really tragic.
Something of a literary legend in Britain.
She really was. Listen, if you've read any of her books, let us know your favourite one of hers.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah,
please do get in touch. GBNews.com/your say. Also keen on your views on that French Farage connection. Let us know. We'll be here for you for the next 2 hours. But before we get stuck in, let's go across to Tatiana Sanchez for all your latest news headlines.
Charlie, thank you very much. The top stories this hour, a fiery PMQs this afternoon with the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition clashing over NHS maternity services and the likes of doctor strikes. Kemi Badenoch also used her first question to ask the Prime Minister why Labour backbenchers are calling Sir Keir Starmer a caretaker Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, my own MPs are very proud we've just passed a budget which protected our public services and our NHS. No austerity which brought our NHS to the ground. We've created the conditions for economic stability with the headroom we need. And Mr Speaker, we're concentrating on the single most important issue for families up and down the country, which is the cost of living, by taking £150 off their energy bills. That's in addition to the £150 for the 6 million of the poorest household. We're concentrating on what matters to the country. She's trying to save her job.
He's being called a caretaker because everyone can see that he's lost control of his party, that this lot are so busy trying to replace him that they've taken their eyes off the ball. Let's start, Mr. Speaker. Wait for it. Let's start with the Energy Secretary, who wants to recycle himself as leader.
In other news, appearing before MPs on the Treasury Select Committee today, Rachel Reeves says the decision to freeze tax thresholds was taken together as a team with Sir Keir Starmer. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, also confirmed the Treasury is reviewing its security in the wake of the leaks that happened ahead of the budget.
And he's not the sort of journalist who...
It was not an off-the-record briefing, it was a leak.
You're really clear it was a leak?
I'm absolutely categorical that was not an authorised briefing. It was incredibly damaging and frustrating. That is why we have a leak inquiry. Okay. It was not briefing that was signed off by me, any of my ministers or officials. It was unacceptable. That is why there is a leak inquiry going on.
A new report from the National Audit Office shows that fewer than 1 in 10 asylum seekers whose claims are rejected are actually deported from the UK. The report is also heavily critical of Home Office monitoring, stating that robust data gathering is not a priority and there's a culture of tolerating and working around data that's not fit for purpose. It goes on to find the Home Office has no idea how many asylum seekers have gone missing since arriving in the UK. The findings raise fresh questions about the effectiveness of the government's immigration policies and the scale of unresolved asylum cases still residing in Britain. A British soldier killed on duty in Ukraine has been named by the Ministry of Defence as 28-year-old Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment. Sir Keir Starmer paid tribute at PMQs today, saying he was injured in a tragic accident away from the front lines while observing Ukrainian forces testing a new defensive capability. A man has been found guilty of murdering his ex-girlfriend's sister and her 3 children in a house fire in Bradford. Shiraz Ali killed 29-year-old Bryony Gawith and her children Destiny, who was 9, Oscar, 5 and 22-month-old Aubrey after deliberately setting fire to their home in a revenge attack when Bryony's sister Antonia ended their relationship. The 40-year-old was also found guilty of the attempted murder of Antonia Gowith. Co-accused Callum Sunderland, who's 26, was cleared of murder but found guilty of 4 counts of manslaughter for his role in breaking into the family's house where Antonia had been staying. The trial heard Ali motivated by jealousy and fuelled by drink and drugs. And breaking news this hour, Sophie Kinsella, the author of the best-selling Shopaholic series of novels, has died at the age of 55 after being diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer, her family said. In a statement, they said despite her illness, which she bore with unimaginable courage, Sophie counted herself truly blessed to have such wonderful family and friends and to have had the extraordinary success of her writing career. And those are the latest headlines. For now, more from me in half an hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's fast approaching 8 minutes after 1 o'clock now. There were fiery clashes in the House of Commons as the Prime Minister faced questions from MPs. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch claimed that the Prime Minister had lost control of his party as they clashed on energy bills, teacher numbers, police officers and NHS strikes.
Prime Minister is being called a caretaker because everyone can see that he's lost control of his party. We all know that this lot are so busy trying to replace him that they've taken their eyes off the ball.
Well, let's go straight to Westminster Hall, where our chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, is watching PMQs. And Catherine, a caretaker Prime Minister, Kemi Badenoch, really sticking in the knife on all these briefings about potential replacements going around at the minute.
Yes, good afternoon from Westminster Hall. It was really quite brutal. Kemi Badenoch on the Prime Minister, I thought, saying he's a caretaker PM and then talking about all the various cabinet ministers who might want his job and their record. So we had energy bills and Ed Miliband asking how much bills had gone down by. They promised £300. She's saying that they've actually gone up since Labour came into power. Then we had Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, saying how many more teachers have we got? You promised 6,500. Kemi Badenoch says there are fewer. Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, talking about police numbers. Again, Kemi Badenoch says there is fewer than when Labour came in, and then the health, and saying that 93,000 appointments have been lost to strikes since Labour came in. Of course, Labour gave doctors a whopping pay rise in the hope that that would have put an end to strikes, but it hasn't happened. Now, the Prime Minister talked about Labour's record, of course, and also said that plenty of Conservative MPs would like to see the back of Kemi Badenoch. But it does feel like there has been a shift. Sure, both of them are beleaguered, but we used to talk quite a lot about Kemi Badenoch missing the mark in PMQs time and again now. It seems like she really nails it. She's got the wind in her sails, and for all the cheering on the Labour benches, we do know that Labour are bitterly unhappy because their position in the polls has plummeted. Most of them, many of them, are looking at the next election and thinking they're going to lose their seats and are wondering what they can do about it. So it really felt to me like the Prime Minister absolutely on the back foot. And then Ed Davey, the Lib Dem leader, wanting Sir Keir Starmer to take a pop at Donald Trump over his comments of civilizational erasure in Europe. Of course, the Prime Minister will never do that. Also, Sir Ed Davey pushed him on the customs union, something that we know some in Labour would really like us to rejoin. Again, the Prime Minister having none of that, saying that we've just done deals with America and India, to name just two. Why would we start to unpick those? But it did feel like a Prime Minister really under a lot of pressure.
All right, Catherine Forster, thank you very much. Very disappointing, though, because Keir doesn't ever answer any questions, though. So he always talks about something else as though we're stupid whilst we're listening. We're thinking, well, just answer the question. And that is why so many people like Nigel Farage and those who actually answer questions, the British people are just relieved to hear someone actually answer something rather than obfuscating.
Well, I don't know. I think Nigel Farage, he knows the art of a politician. He can dodge a question or two as well.
Yes, he can dodge a question or two, but he answers the majority of them. When he dodges them, he tells you he's dodging them.
People really don't like it. They know when they're being taken for mugs.
Exactly, because I just haven't heard him answer one question, and the ones he has answered... anyway, never mind.
Right, well, the British Beer and Pub Association is warning that changes to business rates announced in last week's budget will hit pubs with rises of up to £16,000 a year.
And today, the association is holding an emergency summit at the Prince of Wales pub in London. We can now bring in GBNews' political correspondent Olivia Utley, who is at the summit for us. Olivia, what can you tell us?
Hello, yes, I'm here at the beautiful Prince of Wales pub on Drury Lane, where the British Beer and Pub Association are holding this emergency summit in response to the budget. And I've got with me the CEO of the association, Emma McLaughlin. Emma, obviously this budget was trailed to help pubs out, but that's not what happened.
No, at the last budget in 2024, they added in 650 million worth of costs into a pub sector. We now were promised that they were going to change all of that by the great reset on business rates in this budget in 2025. That has not taken place. Fairness has not been added in, and sadly, pubs will see their rates bills going up alongside wages and beer duty. It's simply putting us in an impossible position to see a future.
Because it's not just business rates, is it? Or even just business rates and beer duty. Pubs are facing lots of other pressures at the same time. You've got the cost of energy going up. You've got the cost of the minimum wage going up. Can you just tell us a bit about the cumulative effect that this is having on the pubs in your association?
It is absolutely huge, as you say. It's not just one taxation. It is the cost of everything is going the wrong direction. And the government, we briefed them ahead of this budget to let them know just the pressures we were under and how difficult it was for our pubs to make any kind of profit. With only 12p on every pint, this is shocking. And we should be really thinking about how we can lean in and support our great British pubs and our great British brewers, but sadly the government has not taken that opportunity.
So 12p in every pint, that means that for every £4, £5, £6, depending on where our viewers are in the country, they are spending on a pint. Just 12p of that is going to the landlord. That sounds unsustainable. Will it be the last Christmas for some of your pubs?
I think it's going to be a very difficult time of year. Publicans are very distressed seeing how they can get their doors open in the future and not seeing that future right now. So for some, it might be. That's why we're asking the government to take direct action immediately to support our pubs with a pub solution that will help give them the clarity and certainty so they can keep serving their communities up and down this country.
So what would you like to see from the government in the near future to help save those pubs which will otherwise be closing their doors in the next year?
There are many things around the methodology, around rateable values for these businesses, but the reality is they will take a long time to change and be delivered. So we need the government to take action now, come up with pub-specific relief, or look at pausing those rateable increases so that we can take again another look at getting this business rates reform right for the long term.
Thank you so much, Emma McLaughlin. Emma there talking about the really terrible situation that pubs across the UK are facing. Viewers, if you want to help out, you know what to do. Go to your local pub this Christmas.
Thanks, Olivia. That's a good rallying call, isn't it? Although we've got 2 more hours to get through first for you and I can do our national duty.
I wonder why they don't appear, those who are making the decisions don't appear to understand the impact of their choices on things like pubs. It just seems, perhaps that's because in Westminster they've got so many subsidised bars. I don't know. But it just seems a bit odd that they wouldn't realise what is happening and the impact of some of the policies that they're putting forward.
Well, perhaps we'll be able to get an answer to that and perhaps a change to it, because this emergency pub summit comes as around 50 landlords say that they're going to ban Labour MPs from their venues amid a furious backlash over those business rate hikes. And we're joined now from the Melbourne Inn in Derbyshire. National reporter Will Godley is there for us. Will, Nana was just asking, why don't people in Parliament understand this issue? Perhaps they'll wake up now that they're being banned from pubs.
Perhaps they will, yeah. They can't get their pint after work at the Westminster Arms. It might cause them a little bit of an issue. But welcome to this pub here in Derbyshire, looking very, very festive, of course, like many pubs are across the country. But the pub landlords running them aren't really feeling any festive cheer at the moment. A large part of that down to the recent budget, and a new survey from the British Institute for Innkeeping found that less than 1 in 10 pubs are forecast to make a profit next year. A very bleak landscape, not only for the landlords, but also the people who come to these kinds of pubs on a regular basis. Kev joins me now. This is your local pub. I can see you've got your pint of Bass here. You're enjoying that very much. How important are pubs like these to you, Kev?
Well, I'm a retired gentleman. I come out for social being. I like a pint. It's 2 minutes from home and it's ideal.
So to hear that pubs are struggling, how does that make you feel?
Very uneasy. I do like to go out. I do like to go on holiday. But prices have gone up and up and up, and you find it very difficult to get a decent drink at a decent price, I'm sorry to say. And I don't know where it's going to go, but at the moment it's not looking very good.
Well, it's a big concern, isn't it, for the community here in Melbourne, not only because of struggling pubs, but also because of what happened with that budget. And today we're hearing 50 pubs across the country are telling Labour MPs they're not welcome in their pub because they feel betrayed by what happened at that budget. Let's speak now to Deej, the pub landlord here. Deej, you told me you wouldn't ban Labour MPs from your pub. Why do you think the decision to ban them is the wrong one?
I think they need to be here. They need to be walking through them doors, and they need to be seeing what's going on in the pub industry itself. If people are barring these or banning these people, they're not going to see reality. They'll come in, they'll see the state. There's not a lot of people around nowadays. So give them that first-hand experience to come and enjoy a pint and feel what it feels like to be in part of a community and social atmosphere.
And very quickly, if Rachel Reeves was to walk in today, what could she do? What would you say to her to help you out?
I think it's not about freezing, it's about reducing. It's bringing them costs down, not freezing it, because sooner or later it's going to go up again. It's just inevitable.
OK, Deej, thank you very much for joining us. That's the message from the Melbourne Inn here. The Treasury have said in a statement that we're protecting pubs, restaurants and cafes with the budget's £4.3 billion support package. And they also said this comes on top of their efforts to ease licensing to help more venues offer pavement drinks and to put on one-off events, maintaining our cut to alcohol duty on draft pints and by capping corporation tax. But as you've heard here today, landlords want a reduction in alcohol prices so more people feel they can come here for a pint.
All right, Will Godley, thank you very much. Well, look, joining us now is Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner. Now, Barry, pubs have to pay, they pay alcohol duty, they pay VAT on most of their sales, unlike supermarkets where it's obviously zero. They pay business rates, corporation tax, they've got the NI hike, which they've had to deal with, and the employment bill, which will be coming soon, which will also be an additional cost in a sense. Do you think perhaps these publicans are right to just ban Labour MPs from their pubs?
Well, look, let's just look at one of the biggest pub chains in the country, Wetherspoons. Their pre-tax profitability last year, in fact this year, to 2025, rose to 81.4 million from 74 million. Okay, that was the largest rise in their profitability they've ever had. So the idea that, these pubs aren't making money seems to be belied by their profitability. Now, I don't deny...
Barry, with all respect, I'm just going to say...
You've given a whole piece against the government. You might at least listen to some of the response.
I do hear you, but I'm just saying that you're comparing Wetherspoons, which is a huge chain, to kind of little... There are little pubs, and that's the point I make. I don't want to interrupt you. I just felt that was a slightly...
let me make the point about the little pubs then now, because it's important to understand here that there was temporary business rate relief for those pubs that was put in place by the last government during the pandemic. Now, we supported that, the Labour Party supported that, and it was the right thing to do to help those smaller pubs through that crisis. But it was a temporary measure. So those rates were always going to come back, to the level that they should be without that rate relief. And there's also been a revaluation of the rates. Now that means that actually, of course, their rate bill has gone up. But what the government has done in order to compensate for that is to say that no small business will pay more than £800 more in their rate bill, and the smallest properties, and there's a 15% cap on the increase for the larger ones, the ones like Wetherspoons, who have made millions of profit off their 2.13 billion revenue turnover. So, I think you have to see that what's happening was always going to happen. It's the result of a temporary facility to help people through the crisis of the pandemic. And the government has realized that that still means year on year, it's a big rise for those pubs, and they've put £4 billion in place to try and sort that out by giving those cap business rates at the moment. But more than that, the government has then said, what we're going to do is we're going to change all those rules and regulations that the Tories had around pubs. So, the rules that said you might not be able to allow food to be served outside, that you might not be restricted in the events and the music that you could have at pubs. And so what we're doing is we're opening up that as well. And if you look, that's all part of this pub in the hub, pub is the hub rather, which we're trying to get particularly for rural communities. So actually, there's a lot going on that's really positive for pubs. And when you look at what the government's done, it's accepted. There was a temporary measure that comes to an end, but we're helping people make that transition back.
Barry, why did it have to be temporary? Because a lot of these pubs will say, we were struggling during the pandemic and even in the period of recovery afterwards. Hospitality venues are closing every single day.
Really,
you say it's really inevitable.
Cut it.
You say it's inevitable that it'll have to rise again. Well, it does cut it. You should speak to these publicans. It certainly cuts it when they speak to us about these concerns, Barry. They say that this return to the business rates that were there before the pandemic is not good for them. I mean, surely there can be some flexibility, recognising that actually they still need that sort of business rate support.
You've just ignored everything that I've said.
I haven't. I've heard what you said.
I've just told you how there is flexibility.
An £800 cap is still quite a lot of money.
Talk over me if you like, but it's not a great interview if you talk over me, right? I've just told you how there is flexibility. They said, yes, of course, it was going to come back. It was always a temporary measure, and the landlords knew that, and they appreciated that. But when it does come back, the government has been flexible by ensuring that these increases are going to be capped now at £800 for the smallest pubs, that we're looking at, and the 15% for the larger ones. So there has been flexibility. This idea that the government doesn't care, doesn't know what's going on, and isn't doing anything is complete nonsense.
OK, Barry, I hear what you're saying, but if it's working so well, then why are 8 pubs closing every week? So that's more than one a day. If this is going well and the things that you're putting in place are working, then if I was doing that and looking at the response, I would be thinking it isn't working. So where in your mind does it say that this is working?
Nana, that's a really great question, because it actually goes to the heart of what's happening in our society, and that is that pubs have been struggling for years, OK? There's been these closures happening for years and years. It's not a matter of one government doing something, and it's a matter of social change. The pub, for many communities, is the heart of that community. But the way in which that used to be the case everywhere is no longer so. And so there are pubs that are struggling, but they're struggling because you and I have changed our behaviour in the way that we do things. It would help if people didn't go down to the local supermarket and get cheap tinnies, which they can then take home and consume in front of Netflix. In the old days, they wouldn't do that. They'd be out in the pub talking to their neighbours and having that community space. But that's precisely why the government has introduced this new pub in the hub scenario, while we're trying to get rid of all the old regulations to make pubs once again the sort of space that people want to go into, where people can address issues, whether it's, dementia cafes, whether it's loneliness cafes, getting other community facilities around the pub. And that puts them back in the centre of their local community. So the government's really trying to do that, help the industry forward.
OK.
All right,
Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner, thank you very much. The pub in the hub process, obviously what the government are putting forward, but if that £800 cap is up there and you can't afford to stay open, there won't be a pub.
I think people's behaviours change because everything's become so expensive. That's probably why.
Oh, yeah, those costs are still really high.
It's not one before the other, it's that first. But this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
A new report reveals that the Home Office does not know how many asylum seekers have gone missing since entering Britain. So is our migration system in meltdown?
You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
No.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
I think a lot of you at home are going to be quite annoyed with this. Now, Tesco, the big supermarket chain, appears to have got rid of the famous Christmas trees, instead renaming them evergreen
trees.
Evergreen
There's
trees.
the evergreen tree.
Here we are. So if you're listening on the radio, these are pictures of their boxes of artificial Christmas trees without the word Christmas on them at all, instead calling them evergreen trees. There are still a number of Christmas trees available called Christmas trees.
Christmas trees,
but I think it has clearly annoyed quite a lot of people. Why do you call them evergreen trees? Can't you just call them Christmas?
Just call them Christmas trees. I call them Christmas trees even outside of the time of Christmas. If they look like a Christmas tree, I call them a Christmas tree, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And the Conservative leader of the London Assembly, Susan Hall, she's told The Telegraph, it's Christmas. It's a Christmas tree. People don't tend to put up green plastic fir trees for any other reason. It's all stupid nonsense about offending other people and other religions. Well, below that, this is supposed to be a Christian country. We have Christmas. Let's celebrate it, says Susan Hall.
Actually, other religions are not offended by the celebration of Christmas in a Christian country. You speak to Hindus and Buddhists and the vast majority of Muslims, they're not in the slightest bit bothered and actually will join in those celebrations as well. It doesn't offend them. But what you've got are marketing divisions within these big companies where you've got Tarquin and Tabitha who feel that we must, you know, do what we can do to not offend the great British public. And the great British public are the ones that are actually buying the product and they're not in the slightest bit offended.
Can I just say it offends me that we've got Christmas already and it's not December.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Now, a shocking new report from the National Audit Office shows that fewer than 1 in 10 asylum seekers whose claims are rejected are actually deported from the UK.
It goes on to find that the Home Office has no idea how many asylum seekers have gone missing since arriving into Britain.
And, of course, the cost of supporting people seeking asylum hit £4.9 billion last year. So joining us now is GB News' Home and Security Editor, Mark White, who's here to tell us more. Mark.
Good afternoon. As far as this report from the National Audit Office is concerned, I think it just really confirms what many people have suspected for a long time, and that is that the system around handling asylum seekers, particularly those coming across the English Channel, is just in utter chaos, and the Home Office is failing in that basic requirement to deal with them in a timely manner, and once there is a decision to remove them from the country. There was a survey of some 5,000 asylum seekers that was carried out as part of the research by the NAO, and that found that more than half, 56% of those who'd applied for asylum 3 years ago were still awaiting a resolution to their claim. Because what is happening simply is that people may be getting turned down, but then they're just going on to appeal. And what the NAO say is that we've had a system through successive governments and ministers who are trying to expedite the process of removing asylum seekers from the country and dealing with the backlog. But what they're doing by prioritising quicker dealings, processing of the asylum seeker applications, is that these decisions are not robust and they're being challenged. And then we've got a whole new backlog that's being created because of decisions that were rushed through and weren't robust in the first place. It is an absolute mess.
And Mark, we've been told that the government is seeking to hire more judges and tribunal members to improve the process of these procedures. But how much of this is a problem about resources and how much of it is it about the law?
Well, certainly, I think taking on more people to help with speeding through the application process might help in a sense. But I think you touch on something quite profound here, Charlie, that is the issue around the system as is set up, with all of the legal wraparound care that these asylum seekers get from the activists and the human rights lawyers when they come here. These people are expert at picking holes in procedures and legislation to get the best possible outcome for those that they represent. And that's what's happening here. You can make a quick and speedy decision that someone shouldn't be given protection under the Refugee Convention and should be removed, but then you can't remove them for all manner of reasons, such as appeals against the initial decision or arguments that the place you want to return them to is not safe. And at the end of the day, look, the only real difference that will be made to this asylum crisis that we are in the midst of is to stop the likes of the small boats coming across the channel in the first place. That's the only way that you're really going to make a meaningful impact on this huge asylum backlog.
Now, the Home Office is supposed to be accountable to us because we pay for everything that the government, all the money that the government is spending pretty much comes from us. I mean, we should be actually suing them for being unfit for purpose. Surely, they can't surely just carry on like this. Does the public have any recourse or any sort of action they can take to ensure the Home Office starts to act properly?
Listen, Nana, I get your frustration, and that will be shared by so many of our viewers. But sadly, the Home Office is a government department. If we sue them, who pays? It's us in the end that have to pay. Look, it is an absolute mess. We are approaching 40,000 asylum seekers, illegal immigrants who've come across the English Channel this year, who then go on, of course, to claim asylum. This weekend, my producer Chris has just told me that the on-off weather conditions might be improving enough to let some more across Monday, maybe even Tuesday of the following week as well. So we'll pass 40,000. And that is a shocking figure, which is, significantly more than last year. And despite the efforts of this government to smash the gangs, that's a key plank of their strategy against the small boats crisis.
OK, Home and Security Editor Mark White, thank you very much. There he is, touching on the main deterrent we have against the small boat crossings, Nana, and that is the weather.
Well, now, the Home Office said that we are already making progress with nearly 50,000 people with no right to be removed, a 63% rise in illegal working arrests and over 21,000 small boat crossings attempts prevented this year. Our reforms will restore order and control.
Right, it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and it's your chance to win an incredible 85 grand. Here are all the details you'll need to be in it to win it.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date with an incredible £85,000 to be won. That's right, £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with each month for a whole year. That could be you, with your feet up, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. £85,000 is a massive amount of money, and it could be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, good luck with that one. And you are, of course, watching Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show.
Australia has banned under-16s from all major social media platforms, and tech giants will face huge fines if they don't comply.
You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Bram is now moving on, but it's going to stay very windy in the north today, especially northern Scotland, with further showers. Brighter and drier elsewhere as high pressure starts to edge in. Here goes Storm Bram, still tightly packed isobars to the north of Scotland. That's where the strongest winds will be, 70, perhaps 80 mile-per-hour wind gusts for the likes of Lewis, Caithness, Sutherland and the Northern Isles. Frequent showers blowing into Scotland, 1 or 2 showers elsewhere, but turning drier and sunnier for many into the afternoon. The best of the sunshine across much of England and Wales. Still feeling mild, 13 Celsius. And 9 to 10 in the north, but actually not quite as mild as it was as Storm Bram brought copious amounts of rain, strong winds during Tuesday. Further showers or longer spells of rain into parts of central and northwest Scotland during the evening, but from the central belt southwards it tends to turn drier. Northern Ireland, southern Scotland mostly cloudy, a lot of clear spells for the rest of the UK. The southern half of the country seeing lengthy clear skies into the evening and during the first part of the night, but a few mist patches could form, and it looks likely there'll be some patchy low cloud moving into the south and southeast by the end of the night. Thicker cloud towards the north and a strong breeze continuing, so a mild night to come in the north and west, but colder towards the southeast compared to the last few nights, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. And there'll be an increase in cloud through the morning across many parts. Still some sunshine remaining in the east of England, some eastern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, it's patchy cloud for many, and the thickest cloud moves into the far west later with outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland and western Scotland. The breeze picks up, but it's another mild day for many of us.
Thank you, Britain, for making us the fastest growing news website in the UK. We're truly humbled, and we couldn't have done it without you.
This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Gateshead, the A194M southbound entry slip at Junction 2 has roadworks, leaving one lane open. In St Helens, barrier repairs on the M62 westbound exit slip at Junction 7 have closed one lane. Leicestershire's M1 southbound exit slip at Junction 23A is fully closed due to roadworks. Solihull's M42 northbound entry slip at Junction 4 is closed for repairs. In Essex, the M25 clockwise at Junction 27 shut 2 of 3 lanes. The M5 southbound at Devon's Junction 31 has 1 lane shut for drain work. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just coming up to 41 minutes after 1 o'clock. Now, Australia has just enforced the world's first blanket ban on under-16s using social media platforms. And overnight, millions of young users, I call them losers then, but I guess that's probably how they feel.
Loser, you've got no social media.
No X, nothing. They lost their accounts. Very sad.
Well, supporters of the ban say it protects children, but critics say that teenagers will simply find ways around it. And with the world watching, should Britain do the same?
Well, joining us to discuss this is Head of Communications at the Adam Smith Institute, Joanna Marchong, as a social media commentator and author of Digitalks, Mark Ellis. Mark Ellis, I'm going to start with you. Is it even possible for them to block the young people from accessing social media? Surely if you use a VPN or something like that that hides where you are, then you can access it anyway. Young people aren't stupid.
Darn right. Well, the answer is, can we stop people from smoking or drinking when they're underage? The answer is, of course, no, not at all. But most parents are in control of their children's phones, and with the family side of family controls, they can prevent VPNs being downloaded to the apps. So will every under 16-year-old lose access? No, of course not. But will the majority? Yes, with a bit of luck. And the government's got a challenge on its hands in tracking new social media apps that come in. But overall, losing, and you made me laugh just before we came on air, losing their access to these apps is a really solid and good thing.
And Joanna Marchong, I take it you don't share that view. What's your concern about this ban? I mean, Mark's got a point, hasn't he, about protecting young people from access to these websites when they're very young?
Yeah, I mean, with all good intention plans, there's always one benefit. But I think when we look at the long run, we're going to realize that this imposes a huge privacy problem for adults. Everything will have to be age verified, and it's essentially just part of the slow march to the end of online anonymity.
Really? Do you think so? Would it not be, because I remember I gave my daughter a mobile phone at, I think, about age 9 or 10 or something like that, and the very helpful young girl that I had that would bring me the remote control and do all the other stuff was totally uninterested in helping me at all, and now her head's in the phone and the phone is an extension of her arm. Do you not think that actually allowing young people to build their creativity without that sort of access to all these social platforms that kind of detract them and shorten their concentration spans is actually quite a good thing, Joanna?
No, well, there are some good aspects to it, but when you look at the specific method of using a ban to achieve those things, then there's unintended consequences. As you said, a lot of them will probably find other ways to do it. These are children and teens that have been online and been using these apps as their primary method of communication. They will already be thinking of ways to kind of still get on the internet, and actually it will be more unregulated and will be pushing them further into darker kind of unregulated arenas around social media. Also, it's the businesses that actually suffer, because whilst they now have to think of different ways to regulate and adhere to the law itself, they're faced with parents and children aren't getting fines. Businesses will, to the equivalent of about £25,000.
Well, Mark, we've heard about those unintended consequences involved in these sorts of cases. Do you have any concerns about the privacy risks as a consequence of this ban?
No, not particularly. For the most part, the social media companies know who you are, right? Let's not beat around the bush. I mean, yeah, Charlie, you jump onto Facebook, you're likely to see advertising for fencing foils. Nana, you're going to see gym gear. Whatever it is that we're interested in, whatever we're looking at is going to be there, right? Come Christmas, we're seeing the presents we're looking at appear everywhere. For this reason, we got to remember is, let's just take Facebook. These companies are not bad companies, right? They're great companies. They make $160 billion a year through advertising. Very smart. That's advertising revenue. Now on Facebook, about 10%, and this is Instagram, Facebook, the whole gamut of it, about 10% of those users are under the age of 16, 17. So we're talking about potential loss of revenue there for advertising that's not going towards them. But in order to fine tune the advertising, these companies know very, very well who they are advertising. They already know who you are and what you're doing. But that extra level that the Australian government is asking, they're asking them to look at that algorithm and say, hey, block people here. Now, there's going to be a lot of hiding behind, oh, submit a photograph. We'll do this, we'll do that. But actually, online behavior gives these companies everything they need to know about your interests, your age group, the probabilities and the likelihood of it. So very easy for a tech company to hide behind it, but we all know that our privacy is being invaded, and that's part of our social contract with. We choose to use these platforms.
Yeah,
and
Mark,
as a parent, you're making...
Mark, the other thing, that on the flip side of it, I gave my daughter these things so that she'd be prepared for adult life, because what can happen is if you're denied sweets,
100%.
and it'll be interesting to see, because my younger brother, he doesn't allow his kids to eat sugar. So I'm wondering what happens when they get they do it themselves. No, but that exactly, you've just done it. So if you deny people this, they go straight in head on, no experience, no understanding, and usually it's my daughter who says to me, oh, Nana, Mummy, if you're going to post a picture of yourself naked, which I would never do, she says, make sure you don't put your head in. She tells me stuff, you know, make sure you cover the logo for this or that. Not that she wouldn't. Maybe she has, I don't know.
you never thought you'd need, right?
Wow.
What a helpful daughter.
She's ahead of me. Now, I would rather she was ahead of me like that. Aren't you putting the kids behind by denying them this, because everybody else will know all about it? They'll be vulnerable.
I don't think so, and I think this is part of the problem we've seen. Parents have been incapable of imposing any form of controls, right? Okay, I'm in the tech industry, I took an interest, I wrote a book on it, I learned how to do this, right? We teach our kids how to cross the road. It's relatively easy to lock down these things. Social media is not harmful per se, it's the use of it, it's like a tool. So that experiment, if you like, has failed, right? We've got an incredibly lonely generation, an incredibly distracted generation. We've got a spike in ADHD. So parents need some support. And what the government's doing here is it's bringing that in. Now, at 16, you're still going to be on that learning curve. Is not being able to use Instagram going to put you at a disadvantage? I really don't think so. There are other things you can learn online.
Let's give Joanne a final word. You've got about 30 seconds, Joanne, and then we have to go. So, Joanne, your thoughts, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think we're just accepting the fact that parents can't do it for themselves, so we're allowing businesses to do it. And also, it might be well-intentioned, but kids will still be on the internet and it will just be unregulated. Tech companies know everything they know now because we're giving them that information. Now we're making children lie about their age and how to get on the platform, so we're going to lose all of that.
OK, Head of Communications at the Adam Smith Institute, Joanna Marchong, and Mark Ellis, who's a social media commentator and the author of Digitox. Thank you very much for your time, both of you.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, but if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast of some of the top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Heavy thundery downpours will continue to affect Cyprus as we go through tomorrow and into Friday, but this unsettled weather, it is going to ease as we head into the weekend. And actually, across many other parts around the Mediterranean, it's looking largely fine. Some decent sunshine to be had as well. Slightly different story, though, across much of Spain. A few outbreaks of rain around, and there is a band of rain sweeping in from the west, so that's going to turn things a bit wetter across Portugal and western Spain as we head towards the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Well, there's lots more coming up on today's show because Meghan Markle has sent a letter to her father in hospital in the Philippines.
About time. Well, all of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's #1 news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Right, Thomas Markle has received a letter from his daughter Meghan. Now, it follows widespread claims that he had not heard from her since having emergency leg amputation surgery.
Well, joining us now to tell us more is the GB News royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Cameron, this is a significant update in this saga.
Well, it is, and it appears this would be the first time that the two of them have had any kind of communication since before the wedding in 2018. How long ago was that? Lots happened since then. So this morning I received a statement from the Duchess of Sussex's spokesperson saying, given that a Daily Mail reporter has remained at her father's bedside throughout, broadcasting each interaction and breaching clear ethical boundaries, it has been exceedingly difficult for the Duchess to contact her father privately, despite her efforts over the past several days. With the support of reliable and trusted contacts, her correspondence is now safely in his hands, and I understand that that is a letter in question. Now, the Daily Mail has had a journalist at the bedside of Thomas Markle, but it's more than that, because they've actually been friends, Caroline Durand, the US Mail on Sunday editor, since 2018. They've kept some regular contact, and it was Thomas himself who asked her to come across when he was having his leg amputated in the Philippines. He was in intensive care. The Daily Mail has actually given us a statement saying it is entirely untrue that each interaction has been broadcast, and that the suggestion that Caroline has breached ethical boundaries is demonstrably false and vehemently denied. So it's a really tricky situation, because at the heart of this is a daughter and a father who have been estranged from each other. There is a journalist in the middle. Some of that information, with Thomas's permission, I hasten to add, has been put into that newspaper. We'll have to wait and see if there'll be an actual face-to-face meeting.
Right, thank you, Cameron Walker, for that update. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show, so don't go anywhere. What's coming up next, though, Nana?
Next up, get an update with your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Winds now slowly easing as Storm Bram moves away. Dry for most through the rest of the day, aside for some parts of central and northern Scotland. That's where we still have a strong westerly breeze, bringing in frequent showers, if not longer spells of rain heading into the afternoon and evening, particularly for parts of central and northwest Scotland. The wind staying strong until after midnight, so still the risk of 70, 75 5-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then overnight those winds coming down. Clear spells developing through the night time. Thicker cloud always to the north and west, but the best of the clear spells will be towards the southeast, where temperatures will dip to 5 or 6 Celsius first thing Thursday, but plenty of sunshine during the morning. A few mist patches here and there. Thicker cloud, though, already starting to arrive once again into Scotland for the west, bringing some spots of rain into the Western Isles. Breeze picking up again as well. Some sunshine through the Highlands as well as through the Central Belt. You can see, though, cloud rolling into the north and west of England, Northern Ireland and West Wales. Some sunshine there for the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast, but we've also got an area of cloud moving up from the Channel. That will turn things grey once again across the south. And increasingly, we're going to see the cloud in the west bring outbreaks of rain to Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, eventually West Wales, the far southwest of Cornwall. The breeze picking up here as well, but once again, it's a mild day for many, not quite as mild as it has been, 12, 13 Celsius in places, and still some sunshine as we end the afternoon across the Midlands, eastern England. So a few clear spells overnight in the east and Northern Ireland seeing the skies clearing as this slow-moving weather front makes its way in from the west to the east. That's going to bring some damp weather to the east first thing Friday, brightening up later. A fine start to the weekend, unsettled later.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Wednesday, the 10th of December. I'm Charlie Peters.
And I'm Nana Akua.
where they failed on our borders, we're taking control of our borders, and I'm proud that we're doing so.
The Prime Minister claims Labour are taking back control of our borders. On the day that it's been revealed that the Home Office admits it doesn't know how many illegal migrants have absconded in this country at a huge cost to you and I, the taxpayer.
And the budget has been a hammer blow to the Great British Boozer. So we're checking in at pubs across the country this morning with some owners banning Labour MPs over business rates.
We are in the Goat's Head in Abbots Bromley, speaking to the landlord here as a report from UK Hospitality reveals that for small venues, business rates could rise over £300 million over the next 3 years. We'll be getting that reaction next.
Meanwhile, here at the Melbourne Inn in Derbyshire, locals tell me they're worried landlords will be forced to put up the cost of their pints as they deal with the fallout from the budget.
France's presidential frontrunner Jordan Bardella is moving to forge an alliance with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to restore Europe's borders after the pair held talks in London yesterday. We'll be joined by a French journalist later on.
And backlash is growing as Britons have been advised to wear face masks in public spaces by a senior NHS leader as a super flu sweeps the nation. Will you be returning to mask wearing?
And confessions of a shopaholic author, Sophie Kinsella, has sadly died at age 55 after a battle with brain cancer. We'll be getting reaction to that very sad news throughout the show. I don't know what all the hoo-ha is about wearing a mask. If somebody says that masks may help to stop spreading some of the viruses, I understand COVID virus was too small to come, so you couldn't really prepare yourself and protect yourself. But I did notice that during the pandemic, because I wore masks, I didn't catch other things. So maybe not COVID, maybe it didn't help to prevent that, but I think it's... what's the big deal? If somebody comes here and has got a flu or something, well, I've no problem if somebody is wearing a mask or I'm wearing one.
Nana, perhaps the reason why you didn't catch anything else during COVID is because nobody was out doing anything. Everyone was away from each other.
Well, that's part of the layering effect. So masks, hand washing, all the things.
Masks, hand washing, not seeing anyone.
Yes, distancing, that is the idea. But masks are part of the process of helping to stop spreading, airborne infections, that if somebody sneezes or coughs.
I get what you're saying, but I think this country is still so scarred by COVID and we're still recovering from the pandemic in so many ways that any suggestion that we should return to those rules and regulations...
Not all those rules. I mean, they were
not all of them, of course.
It got really... Look, I started off gung-ho, going along with everything. Yeah, then halfway through I thought, hang on a minute. How come there can be 6 people from 6 different locations meeting at a pub, they hand you the drink like this, but they'll take the money? And I just thought that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a silliness.
So it got silly.
It did.
But one of the things, I mean, masks have been worn in many different scenarios to protect sort of a spread of certain things. If somebody's got a really bad cold...
Sure. Well, speaking of handing over money at pubs, we've got a lot of lucky reporters today cutting around the great pubs of the UK. So what do you make of what we're discussing today? You know how to get involved by now. gbnews.com/your say. Like Nana, will you be returning to mask wearing? I'm sure that'll get them going.
Not unless if I've got a cold. If I've got a cold and I'm coming in, I shouldn't really come to work if I'm ill anyway.
That's true.
But, if I had to do something, and I probably, or on public transport, to protect other people from my sneezing and things, I might do that. I wouldn't have a problem if somebody did that at all. No problem.
No problem. Right, let's cross over Tatiana Sanchez now. She's got your news headlines.
Thank you very much. The top stories. Sir Keir Starmer's cabinet ministers are vying for his job, Kemi Badenoch has claimed, as the pair clashed over Labour's record since the election. She also used her first question at Prime Minister's Questions today to ask Sir Keir Starmer why Labour backbenchers are calling him a caretaker Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my own MPs are very proud. We've just passed a budget which protected our public services and our NHS. No austerity which brought our NHS to the ground. We've created the conditions for economic stability with the headroom we need. And, Mr. Speaker, we're concentrating concentrating on the single most important issue for families up and down the country, which is the cost of living, by taking £150 off their energy bills. That's in addition to the 150 for the 6 million of the poorest household. We're concentrating on what matters to the country. She's trying to save her job.
He's being called a caretaker because everyone can see that he's lost control of his party, that this lot are so busy trying to replace him that they've taken their eyes off the ball. Let's start, Mr. Speaker. Wait for it. Let's start with the Energy Secretary, who wants to recycle himself as leader.
Elsewhere, appearing before MPs on the Treasury Select Committee, Rachel Reeves says the decision to freeze tax thresholds was taken together as a team with Sir Keir Starmer. The Chancellor also confirmed the Treasury is reviewing its security in the wake of the leaks that happened ahead of the budget. Follows the early release of information about the fiscal event, she insisted a Financial Times story which revealed she dropped plans for an income tax rise and the budget was based on a leak rather than an authorised briefing.
And he's not the sort of journalist who...
It was not an off-the-record briefing, it was a leak.
You're really clear it was a leak?
I'm absolutely categorical that that was not an authorised briefing. It was incredibly damaging and frustrating. That is why we have a leak inquiry. It was not briefing that was signed off by me, any of my ministers or officials. It was unacceptable. That is why there is a leak inquiry going on.
A new report from the National Audit Office shows that fewer than 1 in 10 asylum seekers whose claims are rejected are actually deported from the UK. The report is also heavily critical of the Home Office monitoring, stating that robust data gathering is not a priority and there's a culture of tolerating and working around data that's not fit for purpose. It goes on to find the Home Office has no idea how many asylum seekers have gone missing since arriving in the UK. The findings raise questions about the effectiveness of the government's immigration policies and the scale of unresolved asylum cases still residing in Britain. Ministers of 46 member states signed up to European human rights laws have backed plans to look at how to tackle concerns over addressing migration within the legal framework. The chief of the body which oversees the European Convention on Human Rights said ministers had taken an important first step forward together to agree a political declaration on migration and the ECHR and support a new recommendation to deter smuggling of migrants with full respect for human rights. Council of Europe Secretary General Alan Bursa told reporters work will begin to adopt the declaration in Moldova in May next year, following a meeting of ministers in Strasbourg today. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy attended the meeting and was expected to urge ministers the rules must not stop tackling the problem of illegal migration. Ahead of today, Sir Keir Starmer and his Danish counterpart warned that interpretation of the ECHR needed to change to show governments could get a grip on the problem. It says France's presidential frontrunner Jordan Bardella is moving to forge an alliance with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to restore Europe's borders after the pair held talks in London yesterday. Mr Bardella, the leader of the National Rally Party, pledged to change France's border policy to support Britain in tackling the Channel small boat crisis should he secure victory in next year's election. Elsewhere, a British soldier killed on duty in Ukraine has been named by the Ministry of Defence as 28-year-old Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment. Sir Keir Starmer paid tribute at Prime Minister's questions today, saying he was injured in a tragic accident away from the front lines while observing Ukrainian forces testing a new defensive capability. A man has been found guilty of murdering his ex-girlfriend's sister and her children in a house fire in Bradford. Shiraz Ali killed 29-year-old Bryony Gowith and her 3 young children after deliberately setting fire to their home in a revenge attack when Bryony's sister Antonia ended their relationship. The 40-year-old was also found guilty of the attempted murder of Antonia. Co-accused Callum Sunderland, who's 26, was cleared of murder but found guilty of 4 counts of manslaughter for his role in breaking into the family's house where Antonia had been staying. The trial heard Ali was motivated by jealousy and fuelled by drink and drugs. And Sophie Kinsella, the author of the best-selling Shopaholic series of novels, has died at the age of 55. The writer, whose real name was Madeline Sophie Wickham, revealed last year she'd been diagnosed with an aggressive form of brain cancer in 2022. A statement posted to her Instagram account read, "We are heartbroken to announce the passing this morning of our beloved Sophie. She died peacefully with her final days filled with her true loves, family and music and warmth and Christmas and joy." Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, more news in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of the markets. The pound buying you $1.3312 and €1.1441. The price of gold, £3,156.57 per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is at 9,672 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Welcome back to Good Afternoon Britain. It's 10 minutes past 2 and ministers of several member states signed up to the European human rights laws have back plans to look at how to tackle concerns over addressing migration within their legal framework.
The Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, attended the meeting and was expected to urge ministers the rules must not stop tackling the problem of illegal migration.
Well, let's get the latest now with our political editor, Christopher Hope. Obviously, Christopher, this is quite a significant intervention with these British-backed plans and engagement going on in the Council of Europe about offshore processing. Could it lead to, say, the return of the Rwanda scheme?
Well, that requires political will, Charlie, and that isn't there with the Labour government. Well, what this does do is indicate that the continent of Europe, the states on that continent, including the UK, are looking at reforming the European Convention on Human Rights. The politics of this is simple. Reform want to axe it or get rid of it or leave it, and so do the Tory party. Labour say we're not doing that, but we want to reform it. This is a boost for Labour. David Lammy is out there, the Deputy Prime Minister, Lord Hermer, Richard Hermer, the Attorney General. It seems that the Council of Europe, which is this body which controls how the ECHR administers itself, do want to change. They say it's their chance to bring the discussion to where it belongs within the Council of Europe and chart a way forward. But just looking here at the communiqué agreed by 27 of the 46 members of the Council of Europe, it says here the clear starting point is a state can expel foreigners convicted of a serious crime, even though they've got ties, i.e. family ties or property ties, in this country. Another one, Article 3, inhuman and degrading treatment, which is an absolute right. That should not be constrained by taking proportional decisions to expel foreign criminals, i.e. what about the human rights of those living here? Why are they at risk? Again, another point made by Reform and the Tory party. A third one, finally, saying here the state party should not be prevented from entering into cooperation with third countries, maybe Rwanda, maybe somewhere in the eastern in the Balkans, regarding asylum and return procedures once the human rights of irregular migrants are preserved. So it's a very delicate balancing act here, but this is a bit of hope here, I think, for Keir Starmer's attempt to renegotiate how our judges here apply the European Convention on Human Rights. But it's only a start. It takes ages. It'll be glacial. Will this happen before the next election? I sincerely doubt it, but this is something to hang Labour's argument against reform and the Tory party on ECHR reform.
Interesting. Christopher Hope, thank you very much. I have to say, no, it's a pretty bold one for them to be going for, isn't it, relying on reform of the ECHR?
I just know, because others have been able to interpret the ECHR in different manners and be able to get results, although Denmark are struggling now with their idea of sending people back. But others have been able to interpret it, and I suspect we'll be back in the same place where it's determined by the interpretation. Some will interpret it differently, and then we'll be back to square one.
Right, well, moving on now, because around 50 pub landlords say they will ban Labour MPs from their venues amid a backlash over the steep business rates hikes that they warn threaten their survival.
Well, joining us now from the Goat's Head pub in Stafford is GB News' national reporter, Jack Carson. So, Jack Carson, tell us more. What are the publicans saying there?
Well, there is a real industry-wide worry, particularly around business rates, other costs that they're now going to get on the back of this budget from Rachel Reeves, of course, that we got a couple of weeks ago here in the Goat's Head in Abbots Bromley. It's been here since the 17th century. In fact, Dick Turpin apparently even stayed here as well. They're getting ready for Christmas with the beautiful decorations, but does it feel like Christmas for landlord Ian Hillman? I mean, what was your reaction, to the budget? Lots of different measures announced there, particularly, alcohol duty going up, national living wage as well. I mean, what was your reaction to the budget?
Well, we've been campaigning since the spring budget, for help, and they've done the complete opposite. Minimum wage up, national insurance up, rateable values are up. It's all going to impact costs here at the pub.
And this place is right in the heart of this village. It's right in the heart of the community. How important is a pub to its local community?
Oh, it's massive in rural locations like this. It's the hub for everything. You get local groups that meet here, you get friends meeting for drinks, occasions, christenings, things like that. So it's vital we keep hold of this, these traditions.
So you mentioned there business rates, national living wage. What are the impacts going to be then? What do you think you're going to have to do to try and mitigate it and survive through the next year or so?
Well, your alcohol duty's gone up as well, so you're going to be looking at 5 pence on your pint probably. Your rateable value across the 4 pubs in Abbots Bromley, it's gone up an average of 61%. So it's going to be a huge cost to the businesses, and it will mean fewer hours for staff, increase prices at the bar.
And the government say they're trying to help hospitality. One of the things they're bringing in is an apprenticeship scheme to try and get young people into hospitality as well. Do you envision there being a hospitality industry for them to come into?
Probably not the way it's going, no. Hundreds of pubs have closed in the last few years, and when all these changes come into effect, it'll only be the case for, sadly, a lot more.
So what does the government need to do? What do they need to do to listen to you guys, to improve, business and the future for pubs like yours?
I mean, we don't want handouts. That's not what we're asking for. We want a level playing field. We need a reduction in VAT to, compete with the supermarkets. We need help with national insurance. We need help with our energy bills. But it's the only way that we're going to make a pint affordable and keep these places open.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, landlord here at the Goat's Head here in Abbots Bromley. Really, interesting to see here just how easy it could be, really, to help improve the worries that this sector are currently having.
All right, Jack Carson, thank you very much.
Well, joining us now from the Melbourne Inn in Derbyshire is GB News national reporter Will Godley. Will, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. How are the publicans getting on in Derbyshire today?
Well, it's a bleak atmosphere here, of course, 2 weeks today after that budget, which many landlords deeply concerned about, still getting their head around what it will mean for them. But it's not just the landlords who are worried, but also the locals here as well. And this is a pub which is the heart of the community here in Melbourne, a population of about 5,000 people here at the Melbourne Inn. They love to come here to socialise over a beer, over lunch, and really get together as a community. But many worried that's simply not going to be able to happen anymore, because many pubs saying today that they're going to have to put their prices up. In fact, a new survey from the British Institute of Innkeeping has found that 90% of landlords will be forced to increase the price of their pints, 71% will have to put up the cost of their food, and 45% of landlords will be forced to put up to reduce hours of their staff. And despite all of those measures to tackle the fact that pubs will be paying higher prices as a result of the budget, less than 1 in 10 said they would make a profit next year, and that's causing a lot of worry to the community here. Let's speak to Andrew, or Bengo as your nickname is here in the pub. This has been your local, hasn't it, for 51 years. Why is this pub so important to you?
Well, it's somewhere to come and socialise and meet all the people in the town and have the crack and generally find out what's going on and enjoy ourselves. But sorry about that.
Someone's realised you're on the telly. But of course, as you turn your phone off, we're hearing from pub landlords saying they're going to have to put up the cost of their pints in order to deal with the impact of the budget. How do you think that will impact pubs, having the prices of pints go up?
Well, there'll be less and less people come out. I mean, you've only got to look around now. The pub's not full now, and it'd be even less people coming out because, it's just the way it's going, isn't it? It's, it's expensive for a pint now. If it goes more and more expensive, we're just not going to be able to afford to come out.
And pub landlords talking about the fact they're struggling with increasing business rates and also minimum wage changes and increases there as well. What do you think will happen if those changes aren't reversed, if the government don't listen to pub landlords? Do you worry about what could happen?
Yes, I'm sure there'll be more and more pubs closing, which will make the country worse. You know, I mean, and it's going to have knock-on effect everywhere, isn't it? If you've got nowhere to go, it's going to ruin. And obviously, they're going to have to pay more tax, the landlords. You know, property tax, wherever it is. And it's just. Well, if there's nobody, people can't afford to come out, there's not going to be the people in the pubs, is there?
Do you think the government are supporting pubs enough?
No, not one bit, really. I don't think there should be. I don't think the beer should be. Well, the landlords, if their rates are going to go up, they've obviously got to pass it on to the customers, and we're not got the customers now, so it's going to be even worse, isn't it?
So, Bengo, if prices are going to be forced to go up, would you be happy to pay more for your pints?
No, not really, because you can only pay so much, can't you? I mean, I'm quite lucky because I'm a retired, but there's lots and lots of people who will not just be coming to the pubs, and I'm not going to come in a pub and just sit on my own. So there'll be less and less people in the pubs.
OK, Bengo, thanks for joining us on GB News. Interesting to hear your thoughts, not just landlords, of course, worried about the impact of the budget on pubs, but the people who view pubs as a lifeline as well. We've heard from the Treasury, who have told us in a statement, we're protecting pubs, restaurants and cafes with the budget's £4.3 billion support package. They also said this comes on top of our efforts to ease licensing, to help more venues offer pavement drinks, to put on one-off events, and maintaining our cut to alcohol duty on draft pints and capping corporation tax as well. But nonetheless, lots of worries and concerns here in Melbourne.
All right, well, Godly, thank you very much. But earlier we spoke to Labour MP Barry Gardiner, who says the government have brought in measures to support smaller pubs.
Supported that, the Labour Party supported that, and it was the right thing to do to help those smaller pubs through that crisis. But it was a temporary measure. So those rates were always going to come back, you know, to the level that they should be without that rate relief. And there's also been a revaluation of the rates. Now, that means that actually, of course, their rate bill has gone up. But what the government has done in order to compensate for that is to say that no small business will pay more than £800 more in their rate bill, and the smallest properties. And there's a 15% cap on the increase for the larger ones, the ones like Wetherspoons, who have made millions of profit.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News, and there's lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Jordan Bardella is moving to forge an alliance with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to restore Europe's borders.
All of that and much more to come here on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health, Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 25 minutes past 2 and it's time for the Great British Giveaway. It's your chance to win our biggest cash prize of the year. It's an incredible 85 grand. And here's all you need to know to be in it to win it.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date with an incredible £85,000 to be won. That's right, £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with each month for a whole year. That could be you with your feet up, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. £85,000 is a massive amount of money and it could be yours. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck indeed. Now, lots of you have been getting in touch with your thoughts on some of the things we were talking about. We spoke about the fact that now people, members of the ECHR, are now thinking of getting together to try and maybe, kind of change some of the legislation. And Dubbing says the Council of Europe has absolutely no intention of making significant changes to the ECHR. It is just more gaslighting and lying to try and appease electorates across the EU. And then on the subject of masks, which I said I'm not bothered about somebody who needs me to wear a mask, or if I'm sick, I don't mind wearing a mask. Roadrunner pointed out that you're more likely from touching contaminated surfaces. The flu virus can remain active on surfaces for up to 48 hours. In the air, they last about an hour. Therefore, a mask prolongs their survival, and as people touch masks, they are likely to spread onto other surfaces, such as door handles, enabling the spread to other people. People often touch the area around the eyes, nose and mouth, which helps the virus infect others. Masks are more likely to exacerbate the issue. Washing your hands is probably the best protection.
Just a small essay from them on the masks.
It did give a little essay, which I don't know, though, because I just think, I would wash my hands, I'd wear the mask, I'd do these things if I am sick and I am coming out, maybe. I just don't have an issue with it. But I do have an issue with people just sneezing without covering their,
At risk of talking about germs all afternoon, let's move on, because a man has said that on ECHR, he's described it as the enemy. As soon as it's done away with, it will be a day to celebrate. This is a problem for Labour, isn't it? No, they're going to try and help reform the ECHR, because obviously you've got a human rights lawyer as a Prime Minister, Lord Hermer as one of his close allies.
Yeah, of course.
They don't want to be the organisation, the duo that brings Britain out of the ECHR as human rights defenders all their lives. It's almost the great shame of this Labour government, at this moment when there's been such a reaction against human rights legislation, that we have two very powerful human rights lawyers at the top of the government. It must be very frustrating for them personally in that role.
Well, perhaps they'd like... I mean, I look at it like this, that they could actually have the legacy of creating and evolving the ECHR, and that could be a wise way for them to go.
Yes,
because
they haven't got time. They haven't got the time.
But also, will they be bothered? Will they be bothered to?
They might be bothered.
But listen, I've got this one here because, of course, we're talking about pubs, and we spoke to Barry Gardner earlier about Labour MPs being banned from them. And this is from Grey Seal. He says, I would ban Labour MPs from everything. Local stores, petrol stations, post office, local schools, everything. That's what he's saying. Obviously, they're not here to defend themselves, but, I mean, they have put forward a very... well, I don't know what they were thinking with the budget, but it's not really helping anyone.
Yes, many are saying that pubs are the new farms. We could soon see publicans marching down on Whitehall, although they wouldn't be tractors, just rolling down kegs of beer, perhaps.
That's a good idea. But if you just tuned in,
not a suggestion from me.
Of course not.
Just something that could happen.
This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show, but first, let's get your latest news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Nana, thank you very much. And Charlie, the top stories this hour. A new report from the National Audit Office shows that fewer than 1 in 10 asylum seekers whose claims are rejected are actually deported from the UK. Ministers of 46 member states signed up to European human rights laws have backed plans to look at how to tackle concerns over addressing migration within the legal framework. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy attended the meeting and was expected to urge ministers the rules must not stop tackling the problem of illegal migration. A man has been found guilty of murdering his ex-girlfriend's sister and her 3 young children in a house fire in Bradford. Shiraz Ali killed 29-year-old Bryony Gowith and her children after deliberately setting fire to their home in a revenge attack when Bryony's sister Antonia ended their relationship. And a British soldier killed on duty in Ukraine has been named by the Ministry of Defence as 28-year-old Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment. And those are the headlines for now. There's more news at the top of the hour with Aaron Armstrong.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Hi there and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Bram is now moving on, but it's going to stay very windy in the north today, especially northern Scotland, with further showers. Brighter and drier elsewhere as high pressure starts to edge in. Here goes Storm Bram, still tightly packed isobars to the north of Scotland. That's where the strongest winds will be, 70, perhaps 80 mile-per-hour wind gusts for the likes of Lewis, Caithness, Sutherland and the Northern Isles. Frequent showers blowing into Scotland, 1 or 2 showers elsewhere, but turning drier and sunnier for many into the afternoon. The best of the sunshine across much of England and Wales. Still feeling mild, 13 Celsius. And 9 to 10 in the north, but actually not quite as mild as it was as Storm Bram brought copious amounts of rain, strong winds during Tuesday. Further showers or longer spells of rain into parts of central and northwest Scotland during the evening, but from the central belt southwards it tends to turn drier. Northern Ireland, southern Scotland mostly cloudy, a lot of clear spells for the rest of the UK. The southern half of the country seeing lengthy clear skies into the evening and during the first part of the night, but a few mist patches could form and it looks likely there'll be some patchy low cloud moving into the south and southeast by the end of the night. Thicker cloud towards the north and a strong breeze continuing, so a mild night to come in the north and west, but colder towards the southeast compared to the last few nights, temperatures dipping into the mid-single figures. And there'll be an increase in cloud through the morning across many parts. Still some sunshine remaining in the east of England, some eastern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, it's patchy cloud for many, and the thickest cloud moves into the far west later with outbreaks of rain for Northern Ireland and western Scotland. The breeze picks up, but it's another mild day for many of us.
Thank you, Britain, for helping us reach 8 million followers across social media. Thank you for making us a part of your daily life.
This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. In Gateshead, the A194M southbound entry slip at Junction 2 has roadworks, leaving one lane open. In St Helens, barrier repairs on the M62 westbound exit slip at Junction 7 have closed one lane. Leicestershire's M1 southbound exit slip at Junction 23A is fully closed due to roadworks. Solihull's M42 northbound entry slip at Junction 4 is closed for repairs. In Essex, the M25 clockwise at Junction 27 shut 2 of 3 lanes. The M5 southbound at Devon's Junction 31 has 1 lane shut for drain work. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 34 minutes past 2, and the French presidential frontrunner, Jordan Bardella, is moving to forge an alliance with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage to restore Europe's borders.
This comes after the pair held talks in London yesterday. Well, joining us now is French journalist Alexander Seal. Alexander, thank you very much for joining us. Now, this sounds really promising, although Nigel Farage currently isn't in office at the moment, as is running this country. But it is a move forward that it's now been acknowledged that if the countries work together in a way, and if they also want to do that on the other side of their borders, they need to accept it on our side. How promising is this? And what about the French people? Do they seem to be in favour of this?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. So this is a big deal because it's the first time a major French presidential contender has said he would allow the UK to carry out pushbacks in French waters. For years, Paris has blocked this, and Jordan Bardella, who was in London yesterday, is signaling a huge break with French President Emmanuel Macron's approach and a major opening for Britain. The UK has wanted pushbacks, but couldn't do them because France refused to take back the vessels. So if Bardella becomes president in 2027, he is the current favorite. In the pollings, he's about 35%. So if he becomes president and formally allows it, the UK suddenly has a tool it hasn't been able to use for legal and diplomatic reasons. And Bardella, he criticized the one-in, one-out deal, and he said it's a smokescreen, a sticking plaster that doesn't deter smuggling networks. So with crossings rising 16% this year, he's using the numbers to argue the deal isn't working, and he's really an anti-migration contender for Emmanuel Macron.
But Alexander, there have been so many alliances between France and the United Kingdom over the last few years to deal with the small boats crossings. We send hundreds of millions of pounds in taxpayer money over the channel, but the boats keep coming back the other way. Is there a possibility that this alliance could be any different? Why should people have more hope in these two getting the job done?
Yes, I think Bardella is serious in the sense that this fits into his wider plan for a double border system that stops migrants before they reach the channel. But it's also political positioning because he wants to look like the man who can finally close the Calais route. But Macron has repeatedly said no to pushbacks. Bardella is essentially preventing himself as I said, anti-migration, anti-Macron and migration. So this is a direct challenge and a preview to the 2027 political campaign. And it would be a complete reset on migration if Bardella is elected and perhaps Nigel Farage as Prime Minister. So Bardella says he's open to a joint Franco-British patrols and even frames Britain as a future partner in a loser Europe. He clearly wants London on side too.
But that's not their only real obstacle, of course. You've got maritime law, so the United Convention on the Law of the Sea, which will obviously they have safety obligations, and there are other things, other conventions that mean that they can't just blanketly push people back. How will they get over that?
Yes, it is a tricky part, and even with the French permission, pushbacks are legally and operationally risky because the channel is crowded, the dinghies are overloaded, and maritime law demands rescuing people in distress. So the politics may move faster than operational reality. And Bardella is aligning himself with the European right and sees Farage as a political ally. They met in London yesterday, they had lunch together, and he said the movements should prepare to govern at the same time. So it's symbolic, but it also shows Bardella sees the future ideological landscape.
And Alexander, I mean, I think a lot of people in Britain see this situation in France, and they get the sense that French politicians and the French government in general are quite happy for the small boats to cross because it takes migrants out of France. It sends them over to Great Britain instead. But it seems that Bardella has a different perspective. He thinks that the current process is allowing migrants to come to France because they want to go to the north coast. Is that the correct read on his position? He sees the crossings as a risk to France as well.
Well, in both countries, there is anger coming about migration. French politicians from left and right in France, they want to deal with migration, and in the UK also. So Bardella is a favorite to become president. And if Jordan Bardella becomes president, Britain will have a far more cooperative partner on channel migration than under Macron. So for the UK government, and certainly for Reform UK, this is politically very significant. So we'll have to, it's very early because the next presidential elections in France is in 2027. So it's very early to say whether Bardella keeps his promises or not.
And how bad is the problem in France at the moment with the illegal migrants? What are the French people saying about this?
Well, yes, the French people are very angry, mostly people living around Calais or Dunkirk. And so, but at the moment, the French government isn't really doing anything on migration. They just passed a budget yesterday. And so the Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, is in fragile waters, and Emmanuel Macron. So people are fed up with Emmanuel Macron these days. So they want to change, and also in the UK too.
Yeah.
And Alexander, just quickly, it seems as though, based on this interview that Jordan Bardella has given after his meeting with Nigel Farage, that he wants the right of asylum to be abolished, a total overhaul of the system, and also more offshore processing, like we've seen with Meloni in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So Bardella has these ideas, and so and we'll have to wait if he's elected president in 2027. But for the moment, the campaign hasn't begun. But I think what he's doing, he's touring France, and he came to London, and I think he might come to London just before the 2027 presidential elections. And he wants to control migration because it's not working at the moment.
Right.
And the one-in, one-out deal is not working too.
No, not at all, is it?
All right, Alexander Seal, French journalist, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
I think Bardella has got a really good, valid point, because what he suggested was offshore processing, but in using the embassies. Now, I've said that for years, why people can't, process their claims in the country that they're maybe trying to get out of or whatever, but using embassies. I mean, what do they do in the embassies anyway? That's what it's there for, really, isn't it?
Well, Nana Akua, you could soon find yourself as a policy advisor for the National Rally in France.
Oh, I've told them that. I've been saying this for years, that they should be using the embassies for that. No one was really listening until about now, so that's good.
Jordan Bardella is listening to Nana Akua. There we go.
I appreciate it.
All right, well, if you are in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations. See you in a minute.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy thundery downpours will continue to affect Cyprus as we go through tomorrow and into Friday, but this unsettled weather, it is going to ease as we head into the weekend. And actually, across many other parts around the Mediterranean, it's looking largely fine. Some decent sunshine to be had as well. Slightly different story, though, across much of Spain. A few outbreaks of rain around, and there is a band of rain sweeping in from the west, so that's going to turn things a bit wetter across Portugal and western Spain as we head towards the end of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Well, there's lots more coming up on today's show. People with flu or cold symptoms should be wearing masks in public, according to an NHS leader, warning of a tidal wave of illness hitting the UK.
Right, stay with us. All of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Now, people with flu or cold symptoms should be wearing masks in public. That is according to an NHS leader warning of a tidal wave of illness hitting the country.
As the NHS says that a very nasty strain of flu has arrived earlier than usual, while Downing Street says that mask wearing is something that people can consider. Well, we asked people if they should be wearing masks in public, and here's what they had to say.
I will wear a mask if I'm in a heavily crowded place, and I expect other people to do the same.
If they've got flu or something or COVID, I believe they should wear them, yes.
If you're showing signs of flu or COVID or that, then I think you should, because the data definitely shows they reduce the rate of infection.
People travelling public transport, buses, they must wear it, because very confined space.
See, common sense, I'd just say. I don't think it's a big deal. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But we're joined now by GB News' Health and Science editor, Lucy Johnston. Lucy, a lot of people say, as though it's an invasion of their liberties, or obviously you wouldn't be forced to wear a mask, right? But, Lucy, do masks help in some situations? People are saying you spread things via your hands, not from your mouth and things. What's the truth in it?
We've had 20 years of data on masks, trialling masks for influenza, and we had some data on COVID. And the best quality studies, which include population-based studies, show no measurable difference in transmission rates between mask wearers and those who didn't. Now, there's lots of reasons for that. Partly the perforations in the surgical masks are too big to stop the virus, and even the small particles of virus that do get trapped, some do, the viruses just go out the sides. It sort of follows the path of least resistance. There's also evidence that people mess around with their masks, they put them in their pocket. We don't adhere to the really strict ways in which we should use them. Masks were actually designed for a completely different thing. They were designed for theatre workers to stop blood and other bodily fluids from splashing between patient and from medics. So they're not designed for it. They don't work according to the best quality data. And one of that, one study looked, it's called the Cochrane, it's the gold standard. It was relatively recently done. It looked at all the data and it found there was no measurable difference. The problem is people say, well, it could help a bit. It's not harmful. We should just do it anyway.
So can I just, Lucy, let me get this straight. So if I'm going to sneeze, I should just go out there, not cover myself, anything, because it's not going to make any measurable difference. I'm sorry, but I'm just not buying it.
Well,
if I was to sneeze on you, Charlie, like that.
If you're ill and you're not well, you shouldn't be going to work. That's the bottom line. If you're that ill and you're spreading infections, then don't go out. There are, I mean, it's the COVID, for example, and influenza. We know it's not just spread through breath, it's also spread through what they call fomites. Scientists call them fomites, so from touching. How can, the viral particles are tiny. We can't stop them. We've had an epic failure of masks. We had 3 lockdowns and mandated mask wearing. So it didn't...
Lucy, Lucy, I mean, the surgical masks that you're referring to, they're very loose, they've got gaps around the edges, but there is the N95 masks that the professionals recommend in this case, don't they, which has a rather different outcome to the flimsy ones that you're referring to.
So if we were to mandate wearing those, for a start, they're very expensive. Secondly, they're very difficult to wear, difficult to breathe.
We're not talking about mandating anything.
No mandating.
OK, so we could all say that some of us will wear them, some of us don't. That's not going to slow anything down, because if you wear those and try and stop the spread, you have to actually remove the mask, wash your hands, remove them every time you go into a new room. The behaviour of human beings as a society is not conducive to us washing our hands and putting on these very difficult to wear masks.
I don't know about that, Lucy. It's conducive to me. When I come in here, I clean the whole thing, I wash my hands. I'm very, very fussy about it.
And then she coughs on me.
And then I sneeze on him like that.
Well, if you're ill, you perhaps shouldn't be coming in at all, is what I would say.
Too late. Everyone's got it anyway, Lucy, so I'm all right. Lucy
well, that's
Johnson,
the point.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know. Mandating, no. Yeah. But I think, I think it's because people wear them wrong, don't they? They touch something and they rub their eyes and they take the mask off and they stick it in the bag. I've forgotten the number of times I've scraped my mask from the bottom of my bag and then put it on my face.
You're going to be in a battle with the great British people, because friends of GB News have been voting in today's You Decide poll for free. They can scan the QR code on their screens now and look at what we're asking today. Should sick people wear face masks at work? 35% saying yes, 65% say no, they should not.
No, I don't think they should wear masks at work either. I think they should. Don't come to work. Don't come to work.
Right, well, thank you very much for watching Good Afternoon Britain. It's been a pleasure. But don't go anywhere. We have got Martin Daubney coming up next. Martin, what have you got?
Isn't it funny how David Lammy and Lord Hermer are in Strasbourg toadying up to the ECHR, asking them to allow them to implement Rwanda-style deals. The same deal they banned on day one. The lunatics are taking up the asylum again. Our figures showing, of course, £5 billion splurge. Simply unknown amounts of asylum seekers simply vanished, missing in action. 50% of cases taking over 3 years. Can Farage stop the boats? But Jordan Bardella, we got a Bardella advisor on the show, says yes, for the first time there's going to be a breakthrough. We can stop the boats.
All that coming up with Martin Daubney at 3 o'clock. You won't want to miss it. Wish we had a Bardella advisor. Next time, you and me. Next time. Bye.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Winds now slowly easing as Storm Bram moves away. Dry for most through the rest of the day, aside for some parts of central and northern Scotland. That's where we still have a strong westerly breeze, bringing in frequent showers, if not longer spells of rain heading into the afternoon and evening, particularly for parts of central and northwest Scotland. The wind staying strong until after midnight, so still the risk of 70-75 mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then overnight those winds coming down. Clear spells developing through the night time. Thicker cloud always to the north and west, but the best of the clear spells will be towards the southeast, where temperatures will dip to 5 or 6 Celsius first thing Thursday, but plenty of sunshine during the morning. A few mist patches here and there. Thicker cloud, though, already starting to arrive once again into Scotland for the west, bringing some spots of rain into the Western Isles. Breeze picking up again as well. Some sunshine through the Highlands as well as through the central belt. You can see, though, cloud rolling into the north and west of England, Northern Ireland and West Wales. Some sunshine there for the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast, but we've also got an area of cloud moving up from the Channel. That will turn things grey once again across the south. And increasingly, we're going to see the cloud in the west bring outbreaks of rain to Northern Ireland, Western Scotland, eventually West Wales, the far southwest of Cornwall. The breeze picking up here as well, but once again, it's a mild day for many, not quite as mild as it has been, 12-13 Celsius in places, and still some sunshine as we end the afternoon across the Midlands, eastern England. So a few clear spells overnight in the east and Northern Ireland, seeing the skies clearing as this slow-moving weather front makes its way in from the west to the east. That's going to bring some damp weather to the east first thing Friday, brightening up later. A fine start to the weekend, unsettled later.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date. £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power?
Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber.
Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics.
We'll see where this ruling takes us.
These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
A really important thing about GB News, and it's brought something completely different to the landscape.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
Journalism in this country has been a cosy world full of groupthink until now.
Well, the reality is that most British journalists are afraid.
That's